and welcome to episode 29 of Breaking Hertz. It's your girl Sookie, aka Sookie.jpg, aka Uzumaki, aka Jessica Rabbit, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with...
It's your boy Hafare, aka Rodney Malik Casino, aka Mr. Metronome, aka your girlfriend's boyfriend, aka Sijaiba Demiampi Wiki, by the way. It's like, so, whatever stories mnasikia kwa street, see me, it wasn't me. No, I have a doppelganger.
Hafare, why are you afraid?
Afraid of what?
Why are you afraid? Like, if you're going to own a persona, like, walk the talk, you know?
No, the thing is, some people are saying some things.
I do nothing wrong. You know, oh my God, hey. Song sorry. That was not supposed to happen. Anyway, good afternoon.
We don't endorse any...
We don't endorse him. We won't say his name.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, Freudian slip. You know, like it's like someone like told me to ingisha the key in the ignition on Saturday.
Alafu, did you do it?
No, it started and then like we caught ourselves, but like I don't even know why I'm admitting to this on live fucking YouTube, Mazem. He cannot infiltrate my subconscious.
But you can't allow him to take away the joys of daily living. Ingisha kitu kwa ignition, which is one of the best euphemisms you'll ever hear. Anyway, what have you been listening to this week?
How was your weekend? Let's start
my
there.
weekend was good. Please be aware that pombe ya bure ni dangerous sana. That's all I'll say. Like, free alcohol will fuck you up. Especially when it's free alcohol that ni tamu. Because I went to a place and the owner gave me a whole tray of free candy shots.
Oh, yeah?
And nikaamua, you know what? Being the young kijana barobaro Nairobi, let me try this out. Ooh. Drinking 6 candy shots might sound like a good idea until it's 2 a.m., you're in the club, and you are faded out of your mind. Guys are taking photos. You're thinking it's videos. Guys are taking videos. You're thinking it's photos. So, please.
Ulipigwa maficha Hafare?
Nah, very specific people. Is it features like hit the internet, sawa? Like,
fair enough.
It's got redacted, got file. Like the CIA, sawa?
Me, I had a fantastic weekend. 2 weekends in a row.
Relationships?
Checky, I didn't ruin any relationships. I didn't steal anybody's girl. I might have contemplated it, but like, you know, I'm wise enough to seek guidance from elders like you, Mr. Metronome. And
what?
I don't just make moves. I consult, you know, like I research.
Elders like me.
Checky. Not only are you an elder, you're a Virgo. You have a balance to life that I aspire to. So you have a capacity for mess. Anyway, acha tusingia hapo. Capacity for mess. What I wanted to mention is 2 weekends in a row I've had like a really great time at the Mist. So just shout out to the Mist, shout out to Espresso, bless the X. They turned 7 last week, but 1. And it was a fantastic show. Thank you to everyone who came through that watches the show also, because like we bumped into a lot of fans of the show. That was really cool.
I'd just like to point out, by the way, if you're a fan of the show and you meet me outside at night, please don't buy me alcohol.
Please don't buy me alcohol either.
I will not say no, but understand that
I might say no and possibly give it to Hafare, but like...
No, please, just... Kwanza ikishapita 1-2 a.m. hapo, please just like shake my hand, tap me on the back, usinibuy a shot, because I will not say no, and I am like...
Okay, brown or white, unabagua.
Hey, women?
Oh,
as in women liquor, I have no preference.
Happy Monday, dear. Anyway, yes, and on Saturday, Santuri had it's not an inaugural class, but like it's the first class this year of from the DJ Academy playing different sets on Saturday night, and some people came to the Mist for the first time, and it was really exciting to see people say that like they've tried to Shazam all the jams and like they're not coming through Nikama. So like the beauty of the Mist is like you wouldn't know unless you were there. So.
Exactly. I was there for 5 minutes. But
you should stay for the vibes, Maze.
No,
stay
like,
for the vibes always.
Okay,
I know, I get you. You're on a different tip that day.
A spring in my step, according to reputable sources.
I have heard that you had a spring in your step. Yes. So
what have I been listening to?
What carried you into the weekend? Dr. J, your spring in your step, you talk about.
Actually, this weekend I didn't get through a lot of projects last week. I was on a very heavy, deep SoundCloud, like rabbit hole, where you just like play one song and then it goes to the next one, the next one, the next one, and then you're listening to some like weird shit from Colombia, and you're like, okay, and then you find out there's a genre called country DNB.
What?
Like drum and bass, but it's country.
What?
And you're like, hey, okay, this is weird.
You know, funny enough, I wanted to take a deep dive of my own just because of like the way Saturday's show went. A lot of the DJs were choosing like SoundCloud mashups and deep cuts, which is like really cool. But like country DNB is like there's a whole segment of it. How'd you find that?
No, like I just let the algo just guide me.
Wallahi,
just like wait, one day.
Wow,
but
love you,
I did get into 3 projects this week. I'll go through them very, very quickly because I have a lot to talk about this week on some sensitive issues. Number 1, Trouble in Paradise by Monroe Flow. First things first, when I listened to the tape, I thought that, wow, this is Diet Larry June. Like the production sounds so similar and the flow sounds the same to the point where you feel like it's a tracing. Like it's just a tracing of Larry June's work. But it's like if Larry June was Pokemon, this is Digimon. It's the same thing, but it's not. And then I saw Larry June was on a track and I was like, okay. Kumbe the guy, Monroe Flow, is actually signed to Larry June's label, The Free Minded. But I loved how laid back the project was. Typical like Larry June stuff. But the lyrics are more menacing. It's not the usual sunny, positive, like, yo, get money, drink water, nonsense. Okay, not nonsense, it's very good advice.
Get money, drink water.
Sindio. Get money, drink water. It's very good advice, by the way. Msinisikize mimi. Just because I pump my body full of drugs doesn't mean you have to do it. So, but I enjoyed how menacing it was. It was a bit darker thematically than what I usually listen to from the Free Minded. But it really tails off in the second half. Like there's a point like around track 7 where there's an interlude, and then track like 8 to 11 is just, it just feels like you're riding one long wave, and you're like, okay, the tracks start to blend into each other. Like the transitions are not there. You just feel like you're listening to one long song. So that was a bit took away a few points in my book, but I enjoyed it. And then there was Crash by Raven Lenay. This is from 2018, I think. It's quite old. It's basically alt R&B. You know what it reminds me of? Manic Pixie Dream Girls.
Ooh. Like the concept, or
it feels like a music a Manic Pixie Dream Girl would listen to. Or would make, like, it's the vibe. But if you don't know what a Manic Pixie Dream Girl is, you should just look it up. I don't have the range to explain it fully. But I know what it is, but Kukusema and Yoshida, if you just look it up, it's very...
Is it, okay, like, basically it's a girl with, like, characteristics that, like, might be seen as admirable, but, like, specifically to men. Like, the things that are appealing to men.
They exist and only not, to teach a man a lesson.
No, not even to teach a man a lesson. Like, a manic pixie dream girl, like, you picture her as this person. She has no depth of personality to you. Like, you haven't asked questions to find out if she has more to her. You've seen, like, the things that you desire, and
manic
that's
pixie dream
girls,
what
she is.
Manic pixie dream girls always have, like, this weird name. Like, my name is Autumn Rain.
But she's catering to a fantasy, so... Yeah.
It's a very...
It is what it is.
It is a male fantasy. It's like the magical Negro in storytelling. So, but yeah, it has bobs, by the way. And you can actually tell that Steve Lacy executive produced this, because it feels like if Steve Lacy, like, it just feels like a Steve Lacy
record. Was If,
like, but somebody else was singing it. And there's a point in time, because I don't pay for Spotify, because fuck that. Now... the ad was, like, the Spotify ad was coming in after the song, and I thought the tape was continuing for, like, a few seconds because the production sounded the same. I was like, what the fuck? It's just like, and then it hit me, yo, this is an ad, and I was like, okay, sour. But I really did enjoy it. It's good to go back to see where artists started from, because it's been like 5 years since the EP came out. She's put out a full-length album that was a very strong evolution on her style. So it's just fun to go back and see, wow, this is what it was like before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then I listened to Get Away by Orion Sun, also alt R&B, but this is more trap soul. But if trap soul was much softer. Orion Sun, she's a singer from the US. I don't know where exactly, in New Jersey, I think. Yeah. Imagine if you want to get the vibe of the album, imagine if Bryson Tiller was a ballet dancer.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's trap soul but very soft.
Hafare is the description unatoa wapi?
See, me I'm say creative. Could be an amazing copywriter. Doesn't want to work in an agency. Aye.
Oh my god. No, that's like good reviewing. Like you don't use like the blanket term that everybody uses. Lavish soundscapes.
Exactly.
You know?
it's again
It's funky.
It's alt
It's
R&B,
alt R&B,
but it comes very, very close to being cursive, and I hate cursive.
Why do you hate cursive R&B? No.
Really? You listen to cursive R&B?
Listen, I write in cursive. I'm fucking a cliche. Like
No, like the whole pajamas, avocado. You sound this is like Georgia Smith before she actually like found a voice. It sounds so weird. It's like Green Tea Peng doing like colors. It's so weird.
Why do you hate ambience? Why do you hate women who like blend into the beat?
What do you mean blend into the beat?
See, if they're singing in cursive, then it's because they're like floating with the beat. That's what that's my perception of cursive R&B.
They all sound like Anastasia from the early 2000s. So you remember her? She was the OG cursive girl, by the way. She's like, all these cursive babes need to give her a shout out on a song. By the way. Shout out to Anastasia. You birthed a generation of singers I do not like.
Damn.
Exactly. But again, I enjoyed the project, but as with a lot of alt R&B, and this is like gonna sound a bit harsh, it feels like I've had this project before.
I feel like we've had this conversation offline about.
I feel like I've had it before.
About the similar sounding like ninis, but like you feel like you've had it before. How?
Like in Vijamasama, there's so many artists who are doing especially in the alternative scene, who are doing a similar thing to the point where you feel like...
Is it melodies or like...
Production, melodies, themes. All of it sounds a lot alike, and it takes... There's always like... Like you need to stand out from the crowd. Something was missing here, like for me to be like, oh, I'll have to revisit this artist later. There wasn't that punch, that hook that would bring me in and tell me, yo, catch in here and listen to all my work. But I'm not saying it was a bad project. I really enjoyed listening to it. A very nice short EP, about like 16 minutes. But again, it's people who are early in their career, and there's always room for growth.
To grow, yeah.
So me, I won't even judge it that much, but yeah, so that was my week in listening. But I would actually really recommend a SoundCloud deep dive for anybody who's like, if you're struggling with things to listen to, or just even with a creative block as an artist, as any type of creative, I would recommend just a SoundCloud deep dive, because you will find the weirdest things on there, and they will blow your mind.
Not even weird. Like, I love the way that like songs are reimagined on the way people share the things that they've reimagined. Because like that's what I got on Saturday. Like everyone was jamming because it's songs that like you've heard before, but like with a different beat, with like amplified bass, with like more electro. It was so sweet, so sweet. And like I got that from both the Espresso show. Shout out to Baby on the Island. Wow, I'm still shaking because like the flips and the mashups have been so good this past 2 weekends. Like I can't believe I go clubbing anywhere else. Shout out to the Mist deeply. So I'm gonna get into the songs I was listening to this week. Project wise, I had 5 projects to listen to. I got into F65 by IDK. This project was in the realm of like long albums that you talk about. But like the interludes and the cuts were like really interesting. So it was 22 songs, about 52 minutes. And it's mostly, it's peaky jazz R&B, or like mostly sax influenced music. And then there's like samples of like famous songs that we know, like Pinot Noir samples My Neck, My Back by Kia. The site that I read from actually said that like it was a mediocre ass shaking beat, but like it's not. It's really vibey. I feel like someone can really use that song well in a mix. And then there's Snoop on one of the interludes talking about how Everyone from Death Row Records was telling him to break up with his girlfriend because they were like, getting at it with each other. And then eventually Tupac came up to him and he was like, yo, marry that girl, nakupenda. And that's how he ended up marrying his wife. So that was really interesting. And then Music Soul Child is there towards the end on a song called Superwoman, which I found really interesting because it's a 7-minute ballad where he's basically talking about like knowing the love of your life very well. I felt like this project was deeply entertaining, first of all, because of like it's a concept album, so it's mostly F1, not even F1, like race car driving type situation, like like literal samples from F1 races.
Do you watch F1?
I don't watch F1, unfortunately.
Why not?
I see, like everyone has been trying to get me into F1. They're like, tunakuita bash nini, and I just
F1,
never do.
F1 is fun unless you support Lewis Hamilton.
Surprisingly, okay, so like there's a Lewis Hamilton mention on the project.
Of course.
And like especially after listening to Simple, a lot of people had like more expectations for what this project would be. But like I think.
Side note.
Kama kawaida.
Just a question. Who do you think black people love more, Lewis Hamilton or Jeff Hardy?
Ooh.
But you don't even have to answer. Please.
Okay, yeah, in the comments.
I'll just tweet me because I know black people love Jeff Hardy. Personally, I love Jeff Hardy more than Lewis.
Really?
2008, Jeff Hardy was the most popular man on earth.
Yeah.
That man was more popular than Obama in 2008. And Obama had the whole yes we can thing. But 2008, Jeff Hardy, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's continue.
But yeah, then after IDK, I'm definitely going to be going back to this project. It was very nice to listen to, very soulful, very chill. Music Soul Child, of course, coming in with 7 minutes is like a lot to take up on a 52-minute project. So I like that. Omarion comes in with his 6th studio album, Full Circle. I feel like now he's like completely transformed into like the character that he plays on Black Lady Sketch.
Wait, is it Full Circle because he calls himself the O? Is it? So he calls himself the O. Like, is it like Full Circle because it's an O?
Listen. So the thing that got me was like when you check the project on Apple Music, actually just check it out. I don't want to explain it. I want to see real time how you react to it. So actually acha tu nikusachie. Nimeona tutachukua muda hapa, but like when I saw it I was like, oh my god, like I'd seen people saying that like he's turned into a hotep Agake, but like this was different. Like when like his poster came out, there was a time back when I was on Twitter, now that I'm not. Yeah, like back then, like I think he had a poster for a particular show, and people said that like now he's like really leaning into like the hotepery, and at this point I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying, but like it's also just embracing like a more like spiritual vibe, I guess. It was moving.
Yeah. This is
moving.
This is heavy hotep energy.
Listen, when I played this,
we was kings energy. We was kings.
Like it's a gold circle. Keeps he calls
Byron you have to send it to Byron. Not to our
So it's called Full Circle Sonic Book 1. It was fantastic because 7th Streeter, who I haven't heard from in a really long time, was on the project.
You didn't listen to her album last year?
No, I did not. I haven't listened to her in forever. Like, I think sometimes when I see a feature on an album and I haven't listened to like a project for a really long time, I mean an artist for a really long time, then maybe I go back to it because I didn't even know that she had released something last year. He's only wapi.
7th Streeter? I have a Google alert. I have a Google alert. Is that everything?
At least you're honest. Wait. No. See, I said I have 5 projects. Anyway, so let me just run through the last 3 quickly. Smoking Zone from Balance. The first time I said Balance's name, I am embarrassed to say what I said, but like, Balance, you came through for the show, the Espresso show. It was really nice to meet you. And Smoking Zone came out like 2-3 weeks ago as well. It's a mix of boom bap and trap beats, and there are lots of features that are really interesting on there. Check out Muro and Blocker, Clint Mashariki, Julian Drizzle, who like I've been listening to a lot more lately. Kitambo, like this is someone I followed like on Facebook, like in like the early 2010s. And now they're like fully rapping, which is really cool. So shout out to Balance. Smoking Zone is a vibe. I found the sequencing a bit
problematic. Is that the word you want to
no,
use?
like hard to follow, but like at the same time, thematically it made sense. So there's some artists that like really brought it. I feel like you should listen to it as well and just like bring your thoughts, so that you can have like a balanced
Get out.
outlook. Unanifukuza show yetu kwani. Also, I listened to Agent Mgumbe by Lucorito. Shout out to Lucorito.
Buy the project. It's 350 bob on Bandcamp. 350 is less than a quarter of something good to drink. Yeah, so figure it out. One day, please, just spare your alcoholism for one day.
Spare your alcoholism, support an artist today.
To be an alcoholic.
Personally, I really vibe with Nature is Healing. I feel like by the time I got to that point of the project, like I was floating. I really enjoyed it. It's a beat tape, and it's conceptual. It's based, it's dedicated or built around the character of Agent Mgumbe on Archer. So for those of you who watch Archer, please listen to Lucorito. I feel like you'll really enjoy this project. Sabi Sound by Jero Vandal. So Jero Vandal is someone that I've been following since the Selection days. I still listen to a lot of Selection. And he's sampling music from his father's country of Suriname. It's in the Kawina. Okay, it's called Kawina. That's the language or like the native genre of the country. And he's fusing it with electronic music. So there's a lot of amapiano, a lot of house, a lot of bass. And electro. I thought that was really interesting. I think I was just trying to tap into different soundscapes this week. I really hate using the fucking word soundscapes. But ukweli mambo, like, it was a very interesting week sonically, especially since my speaker's still fucking dead. So, now we can move on to what you wanted to discuss for the week.
Now, shout out to the very talented, very amazing TikTok star, stage actor, Mike Mureithi. I hope that's... I saw a tweet about, somebody was tweeting about how he's like producing music, and I saw he has a gospel praise and worship album coming out. And it got me thinking, because I've been thinking about this for a while. And I did happen to watch a South Park episode recently, a very old one, that actually dealt with the issue. That gospel music sounds kind of horny when you think about it. just imagine it, sir. I love you, dash. I want you in me, dash. Cover me in your dash.
So... I've been building on this theory, and like the minute that I saw that this is what you want to talk about, I realized that like this is a theory that I need to share, so that like if it's going to be built on sour, if you're gonna say fuck me, then fuck me, sour. But like if you've gone like an extended period without sex, there's something that happens to your psyche, your mind. And either you turn to God to answer those questions because like the thoughts that you're having are so sinful, or like you express yourself. So you pour yourself into an art form so that like the negative feelings, the feelings that like you see as undesirable to the public, like you manage to transmute them into beautiful things like art. So I feel like gospel music is like sometimes a fusion of the two. Like you have expression, deep expression, but like this expression is deep enough to develop certain emotions and tendencies. So it's not that all of it is horny, but like maybe some of it is horny intentionally. I do not mean to. I'm like, not cheating on gospel musicians, by the way, but like.
Are you telling me like these niggas just need to get laid?
They're not gonna get laid until marriage, and like. There's something about a deep yearning that makes you want to commit to something. So like if you're not committing to like a TV show or like a deeper meaning in your life, then like, you're committing to God or like exercise and the deep emotions that come up with something like that. So like you're always gonna throw yourself into something if you're not throwing yourself into a NASA. So yeah.
Oh, that's a very interesting statement. Yeah. But still, you agree? Like for me,
because a NASA can be a bit crazy.
Kwanza when you listen to Christian rock, wow, Christian rock is literally just a love song.
Kina Flyleaf and them, Kitambo.
Skillet and them niggas. Basically, Testimony. There's a band called Testimony, I think, or Testify.
Christian metal was also fire. There was a time I was really into that. So.
But again, it's just regular metal, but it's a love song that they turn into a love song for Jesus.
Yeah, because it's an extreme of emotion that you need to express.
Yo, but why does it sound so like, you know, if Casey, it sounds like if you just switch the words around, this could be baby making music. Do you want to fuck the Messiah?
No.
That's just a question. Do you want to fuck
the Messiah? Listen. Like, we just need to think about if you took away all of the earthly desires that you had, like the desire to go, say, to the bar up the road, or the desire to meet with a nice woman at the club, or the desire to... Like the way your desire yote ulikuwa unaekelea boys to men watulete. Your desire yote uchukue upelekee Mungu pekee. Utafanyaje na your desire? Utamwambiaje unampenda? Like that's my point. Just excesses of desire need somewhere to go. You pour yourself into something to like.
It comes back to my question. Are you saying these niggas just need to get laid? Because if it's excesses of desire, it means that hey, are you trying to
Hafare, I'm trying to
like
say
when the trumpets start like blowing, are you gonna take down your pants?
Sometimes getting laid is not it. It's like you watch Fleabag.
No, I haven't.
You need to watch Fleabag because like it's not.
I just started Succession. Please don't pile everything on me at once.
No, like you can finish Fleabag in like an afternoon. I swear. It's excesses of desire. Like you have like a person or a character that can have as much sex as they want. You're unlimited. You're an adult. You can do it. You know, like it's open to you. But like, is that where your desire ends? Is that, you know, is that fulfillment? Is that where you want to be? Or can there be more? Can there be something else that makes you... I'm starting to sound like I'm advocating for Christian pornography, but like, let's go. Let's move
now,
away
here's
from
the thing. And by the way, this has nothing to do with Mike. Mike is an amazing, fantastic creative. He was one of the highlights of Twirly for Birds, by the way, for me. He had just these random lines that the comedic timing was amazing. So you guys need to like, his TikToks are great.
Wait, you're talking about Moshiri?
Yes, I'm sorry, it's not Murray, it's Mushiri. I have fucked up the name.
I was like, guy. Oh my God, shout out Mushiri Mike, man.
Yeah, Mushiri Mike on TikTok. And I am sorry, nimekuita Muredi. For power on my part.
Also, I didn't know you had a project coming. That's amazing.
Yeah, I saw the YouTube today. And I want to listen to it because I feel like...
He's really good. He's a really beautiful good singer. Yeah.
And he will create like music. Because worship music has been stuck in the past for too long. Has been stuck in the
no. There's something about you need like Hafare. I wish you could join a choir. Like you need to feel that shit. That shit is crazy.
Were you in a choir?
I was in a choir.
Every day new surprises.
I was in a choir, and like there's something about singing together with other people that like that time I didn't even want sex. I wasn't even thinking about it. Like. It's
Wait, are you saying horny niggas should join a choir? Like, are you an incel?
Horny niggas should join a choir. Go sing, bro.
Are you an incel? Go sing. It feels the same.
And the women wanna be like that's scary because for real, like there's something about creating that just.
But again, and I feel, and I even tweeted this before I even go into that. Going back into the issue of like Christian music. Sometimes
how is Twitter? Is it fun?
Meaning unhinged. I'm seeing people. I tweeted something unhinged today, and guys are now quoting it, and I feel like it'll go too far. And anyway, it's our. So here's the thing. In my mind, I played a song for you before we started.
Yes, you did.
Jesus is Coming by the fucking Boys. That song is so on the nose with how horny Christian music is, because it's like the whole. It's just euphemism. Like there's a whole place. There's a part they say, "For the rod of the Lord gives in abundance." Those who run from the coming will live in wonderance, never knowing how sweet manna tastes like. Do you swallow the truth and embrace life? Because sin is an acquired taste. Man is full of goodness. Don't let it go to... Like the whole thing, if you're not paying attention, it sounds like a very good gospel song. It feels like we are like tunaomba Yesu kabisa. But this is all about this song is a complete euphemism. Like, it's all about sex. Even katikati, like...
Don't you think it's good use of innuendo, though?
It is. And that's the thing I'm telling you. If
and
you pay attention to Christian music, it kind of feels like innuendo because it kind of is.
Because you won't talk about what you're going to do, behind your matrimonial quarters. You won't talk about that explicitly, but you can talk about it in relation to the Lord. I guess.
Are we not taking the Lord's name in vain here?
No,
Like 10 commandments and everything. No, this is a very...
Why did you want to talk about this?
No. We're moving away now.
So nikiamua kurudi kanisa nitafanyaje? I'm going to have to go Black China on this like media tour.
The next thing I want to talk about.
Okay, minting off of gospel music.
Now, the shout out to Mike. His album is going to do numbers, and if it's praise and worship that's more modern, that man is going to make more money than you would imagine.
Well, he does sing in the church. So,
if it's more like, even if it's still stuck in the traditional style of praise and worship, that man is still going to do numbers. There's a lot of money to be made here. And the truth is, if you are an artist, especially a Kenyan artist, in your 40s, the twilight of your career, the songs ain't hitting anymore. They're not playing your music in the club. The radio station already has a new darling. Like your friend who your producer friend aliretire kitambo sana, so that you can't even bribe anyone to help you get a placement. The obvious pivot is just go to gospel. And it's so weird to me how almost every major Kenyan act has a gospel song in them somewhere. Always. Just think about it.
But okay, like I think it's a larger conversation on spirituality, which you should definitely have. Not about redemption arcs even, but like about the centrality of like spirituality for a lot of people and how like that becomes like an anchor in times of distress. So we have one of my favorite porn stars. So I found out that, sorry to say this, but like, so she actually went back to the church, denounced everything that she was doing, changed her name, Nini, and then Black China was doing it at the same time. A lot of people have definitely like decided to turn away from like their ways and pivot or like move towards like a more spiritual tone of life. And yeah, it is a signal of A, times of distress, and B, I don't know, like Kenyans have always like gravitated towards that stuff for that exact reason. It's hopeful. It's hopeful. You don't want to be caught by God when, like tarumbeta inalia, kiskiza fucking Lil Wayne or whoever.
Lil Maina.
Utaki kuwa anasa Mungu akikuja. So yeah.
I love how you are so hopeful and I'm so cynical. Because me, I honestly believe, because when the sales numbers are down,
you're gonna go gospel.
No,
like that's definitely a thing that happened. Like early 2000s, it was a thing.
When the numbers aren't hitting anymore, like, no shade to a legend, but when's the last time you heard a song by Amani?
It's been a minute.
But I promise you that baby is doing numbers in the gospel scene.
Is she?
She is. Do you understand how much, like, we, even as a market, like Christians are the biggest demographic of just people in Kenya. Sindio? If you put out an album and sell it for 1,000 bob, you cannot miss 1,000 Christians sell it too. 10,000 skiza tunes streaming. This is the biggest demographic of people, and you're creating a music genre that is catered specifically to them. And there's nothing more that like Christians love more than a comeback story. Like mtu alienda, like you ulipotea njia afu karudi. The redemption arc, they love that. They love comeback stories. So once you go and do your fuck shit for however long you want to live your life, and then at some point you decide, let me go back, you will be welcomed back as a hero, like somebody who went out there, got tempted by the devil, and you are now back in the fold of Christ and everything.
Yeah, following his ways and that.
And then you are put on a pedestal. It's even with Black China. Again, the cynic in me saying, how long until she's married to the pastor of a mega church?
No, that's gonna be crazy.
It's part of the grift. I understand. When them numbers aren't hitting, the artists I couldn't mention names, but Staki, when them numbers aren't hitting, when your songs aren't getting the traction they used to do, put out a gospel song, because it's gonna get rotation on secular radio and gospel radio. It's gonna put you in every demographic that you could possibly be in. The YouTube videos, and then there's always that, you know, that one comment, no nudity, no foul language, no drugs, just good music. There's always that one comment. There's always people, self-righteous bastards, who just want to comment that and, you know, feel good about themselves, feel like they're better than other people. But the gospel pivot, especially in Kenya, it's so funny to see, because it's either you retire as an artist, either you retire very well, like gracefully, go into your Juakali era, or you become a gospel singer. It's one of the two. Because either way, you have to get paid. Like it's a living. And as a cynic, as somebody who doesn't, I don't like in situations like this, I wouldn't give the artist the benefit of the doubt, because I'm like, it's all a base. In the end of the day, we're all trying to get paid. And if getting paid means performing at NPC, more power to you. But let's not pretend like this was and I'm not talking about this spirituality or anything. Like, people are spiritual, and I get that, and you're religious, you believe in what you believe, and faith gives people peace. But for a lot of the time, a lot of these people who pivot towards gospel aren't in it for the legitimate reasons you would think. It's just a pivot to save their career. Even guys who just started out in gospel.
Guys who just started out in gospel, like who?
You okay. This is the first time I'm afraid of saying names, because made on the church on my ass.
Unaogopa kanisa.
They've been doing that to kids the entire life. This is just like a conversation I was thinking about. But there is a lot of money in gospel music, and it is a big facet of what Kenyan music is, by the way.
It is, yeah.
A lot of the biggest stars we have in Kenya are gospel singers, gospel artists.
But I was talking about it being like a thing that people turn to in times of distress, because like we're also just in the middle of like, I guess, processing whatever was happening in Shakahola. And
oh yes, for sure.
So like definitely in times when like things are like harder to come by, it does make sense for a lot of people to turn to gospel music, like uninyunyizia maji coming through when there's a drought, or like stuff like that.
It's so,
even when they were being played in the club, I was like, I get it, guys.
Like I know like the guys
people were dancing because they needed to feel something else. Anyway, what are you saying?
Like guys like Zablon singers, like guys who do that na 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 na. That stuff by there, I'm not doubting their spirituality.
Catholic choirs also.
Yeah, those guys are banging. Like mimi nimekuwa nimelewa mara mingi nasikia Zablon singers. Na umeuona mkono wake Bwana, and it hits, but it touches your soul. I'm not even going to say anything about it. It really does touch your soul.
Yeah.
But once you see the pivot to, when a secular artist pivots to gospel, there's always in my back of my mind, I'm like, is this like
is this
like a real path they're taking now? Is it just like an expression of the spirituality, or is it that like just like that one last shot in the dark, like, hey, this might be the kickstart my career needs?
Remember when we had that artist that we mentioned at the beginning of the show, and like he kept like seesawing between, I think that's when backsliding became like a term that people used a lot more, because he'd come give us like a secular jam, like Ignition, and then like we'd circle back, we come back, and he's singing something that we can sing in church all together. And then, you know, like he swings back, he does another secular song. So like it was really like, okay, so like people battling the religious like demons, like it's definitely appealing. First of all, like from an entertainment perspective, you're like really tapped into finding out how this person navigates their faith. Especially because like if you've been raised as a faithful spiritual person, then like that's something that you can also relate to, I think. And
yeah, but then you can't.
And like that's probably the worst example, but like it was him, I think Usher as well.
Usher has like gospel songs.
No, Usher has a gospel background. See, Usher grew up in a choir, or like performed in a choir before he eventually transitioned into secular music.
Do you know who else has a
but
gospel background? But
like can still do really good gospel music, huh?
You wouldn't believe it.
Who?
Zaytoven.
No.
Yes. Zaytoven learned how to play the keys at his grandmother's church, because his grandmother was like, you just go hang out with the guy who plays the keys.
Really?
Yeah, like during church, so he was like 4 years old, he's sitting there, and then that dude is like, yo, you're not allowed to do this. Like, yeah, sir. So then like a few years later, he was the one who was actually playing the keys at the Nini at
That's
the church.
crazy.
And then he met Gucci Mane. Zait open. Imagine.
No, but like it's also really interesting whenever you find like artists that are like big in the secular industry they had roots.
Having a background in
had roots in the church. It's a lot of artists in Kenya, by the way, as well. Just because church is a really good place to start in general.
That's a really good place to learn music, by the way.
Music,
people who play at church are very talented.
Extremely talented, very low-key.
Yeah, extremely talented. But again, this is not a critique of religion or what you believe in.
It's a critique of the pivot and why people make it, especially here in this country.
And I'm not going to say names.
It's valid, though.
Nitakwambia off camera a few examples and you'll see my point in a product.
No, picture. I know exactly the conversation you're trying to have, and like I think we've had it. Okay, no, we haven't had it on Twitter, but there are people that have alluded to it.
Yeah, it's but again, if there's one thing I can't knock, it's the hustle.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get paid, by the way, like as long as it's legal and you're hurting nobody, I'm not gonna sit here and say you shouldn't do that, because kila mtu anatry kunini, kila mtu anatry ku
Amoka.
Yeah, and artists also, art in Kenya also, music especially, doesn't have like a pension fund. You're not gonna be hot forever. So if you need to make money now, you do what you have to do if it's the pivot to gospel, and if that situation where you need to make money now, the troubles you're going through, or the situation to forces you to become a more spiritual person, and that is your creative outlet, that's also fair. That also makes sense. And speaking of, by the way,
spirituality also,
not even spirituality.
Okay, so
on Twitter, did you see the whole story about Mustafa?
Hello, I told you I'm not there anymore.
Oh my God, you knew.
Elon Musk delete us. Okay, not delete us. Like the account is still there. I just can't access it, and like that's how my whole deal with Facebook issued. Like the minute I couldn't log back in, I was like,
Mustafa was like, somebody took a photo of him at Mjengo working, and then guys were like, oh, tumejua hizi ni stats that could release new songs, and then it came out like actually his mom is suffering from cancer, and he's like, just the treatment in itself just blew through a lot of cash that he had, and he needed to do something to survive. And a Twitter user by the name Faust Khalid actually put up his number, and by the time I think it was either yesterday or the day before, there was I think 600,000 already like sent to him, and it just comes to show that even as a career, even as big as you can be as a musician, there is no pension fund. There is no assurity that if you're big now, in 20 years you'll still be eating off the music you made 20 years ago. That's a whole other conversation we'll have regarding royalties and how the system is set up, and even what Analo said regarding how Camp and Prisk and all these other aggregators work in regards to royalties, how they treat artists. Because if you have that catalog kubwa hivyo, you should be eating off so many royalties that you shouldn't even be in a position that you are worried about somebody's health, because you are a superstar. When you give so much this industry, and I'm glad by the guys are still sending money. If you're watching this, by the way, and if you feel like it, I think you can still get that information on social media, support the artists, because we shouldn't have people who help build this industry into what it is be in a position where they can't even take care of the people they love, because this industry never gave back to them. So
exactly.
If Mustafa makes a gospel song, I'll stream it, I'll buy it, I'll download it, as long as somebody's getting paid at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true.
So tumefika mwisho?
I think tumefika mwisho episode 29. Thank you so much for rocking with us for this past quarter, 3/4 of an hour. Yeah.
And if you're going to take away one thing from this episode,
what are you going to...
Remember, Jesus is coming one day. One day, sawa?
Jesus is coming.
One day.
Wow, okay.
So that has been episode 29. See you guys in the next one.
Pray for us, please. Thanks.